Hello. So today we will discuss complete pyramid in Java, how to create it. So as you know, when we use a nested for loop, in the nested for loop, the outer loop gives the rows and inner loop gives the columns for creating different patterns. Now in this case, if we go through the program, so first my outer loop is for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus. So here I have defined the number of rows to be 3. You could have used scanner and asked the user to define the number of rows, but here I have taken it as 3. So here the value of n or the number of rows is 3 in this particular case. So I'll start from 0 and my number of rows will be 3. Now first I go inside the loop. The next thing I encounter is the next for loop. For j is equal to, now the formula here is j is equal to n minus I, j greater than 1, j minus minus. Now what happens? So how we will calculate the value of j? It will be, what is the value of n? It is 3. 3 minus I. What is the value of I? It is 0, right? The value of I is 0 here. So the value of j becomes 3. So now the condition is for a value of j is equal to 3, j greater than 1. I will run the loop. So the loop will run for j is equal to 3. It will give me a space, line number 9, as you can see. It will print me one space. For a value of j is equal to 2, it prints me another space. So 2 spaces. As soon as the value of j becomes 1, right? And what is my condition? J should be greater than 1. I exit out of this loop, right? So I exit out of the second loop. So first of all, I can see 2 spaces. So if you go back and watch here, there are 2 spaces. 1 and 2 spaces. So I get 2 spaces. Now I want to print a star. So this column is a combination of your spaces and stars. So inside the inner loop, I have created 2 loops. One is for space, one is for star. I have given the space loop first because I have the spaces first, and then I have the stars. So if I go to the next loop, which says for int j is equal to 0. And remember the value of I is still 0. The value of I is not changed. So for int j is equal to 0, j less than equals to, what is the value of I? It is 0. J plus plus. So for the first time, because the value of I is 0, for the third loop, this will be my condition. So what does that mean? It means my loop will run once. Why? Starting value is 0, ending value is 0. So one time the condition is satisfied. So it will print me a star. Why? Because the line number 15 SOP statement says print a star. So after the 2 spaces which I got through here, it prints a star for me. So I get a first star. So this is my first row. I get a star. Now, if you would have noticed, I've used print, not println. Println will bring the output to the next line. When I use print, it keeps the control in the same line. So once I'm done with this, then after that, j will become 1. Right? When j becomes 1, the condition is j less than equals to 0. So what does that mean? I will exit out of this loop as well. What is the line after that? So it is SOP statement line number 19. That I go to the next line. Println means go to the next line. So if I have these 2 spaces and a star, next thing is I go to the next line. My cursor goes to the next line. And what happens next? I go to the outer loop. Now my value of I becomes 1. Now the value of I is 1. Condition is I less than n, which means what? Which means I is 1 less than 3, because the value of n is 3. Now I go to the next loop, this one, the J loop, which is for spaces. This is for spaces, right? So I go to this loop, which gives me the spaces. Now I will calculate it. So now what the value of J will be? J will be 3 minus 1 becomes 2. So now the value of J is 2. So for a value of J is equal to 2 and J greater than 1. So this is my condition. For J is equal to 2, it will do what? It will print a space. That's the SOP statement, line number 9. Print a space. Then J becomes 1. Now what is the condition? J should be greater than 1. Is J greater than 1? No, J is equals to 1. So I exit out of this loop. Means what? I only have one space. Only one space is printed from second, right? Only one space. Now I go to the third one. I go to the third one. And what does the third loop do? The third loop is for printing stars. Right? The third loop is for printing stars. So when I say third loop, my value of I is still 1. It doesn't change. So now this is the condition. But what happens? The value of I changes. See, here I have given J less than equals to I, line number 13. So my value of I will change. Now it will run for J is equal to 0. For a value of J is equal to 0, what does the SOP say? SOP says to print a star. So after one space, which was from above this step, it prints me a star. I don't have println. I have a print statement. I print one star. Now for a value of J is equal to 1. Again, I had one space from above. I print a star. I print one more star, because that is what the SOP statement says. For every value of J, you print a star. So for J is equal to 0, it printed me a star. For J is equal to 1, it printed another star. So 2 stars in all. And one space came from the second loop, not the third one. The second loop, which was used for spaces. Now for a value of J is equal to 2, what is my condition? J should be less than equals to 1. So exit out of the loop. Means that you are done with a space and 2 stars. After that, I'll go to line number 19. What does it say? Go to the next line. So if I see in total, initially I had 2 spaces, 1 star, then I had 1 space, 2 stars. This is how my pattern has been going on. So if I show it on the output window, see, 2 spaces, 1 star, 1 space and 2 stars, right? So you see a space in between because I've given it like this. I've given a space here. So you see a space in between the stars. That's why. Now, after that, the value of I gets incremented. It becomes 3, right? What is the what is the loop? The loop says this. For a value of I is equal to 0, I less than n. What is the value of n? 3. So sorry, the value of I is 2 here. It was 1 here, so it is still 2, not 3. Now, it can still run because I is less than n. See, n is 3, right? That doesn't change. And the condition is I should be less than n. So, 2 is less than 3. So, I can still continue. I go inside the second J loop here. This one for printing the stars. Sorry, for printing the spaces. I go here And what does the condition say now? J is equal to n, which is 3 in my case. What is I? I is 2. It becomes 1. The value of j is 1. What is the condition? J should be greater than 1. Means what? J is 1, but j should be greater than 1. So I exit out of the loop. It's not possible to run the loop because my condition is not met. My value of j is 1, though it should be greater than 1. So no spaces in the third row. So there are no spaces, as you can see, in the third row. I go to the third loop, which is for printing the stars. Now, what does that say? This one. So the value of I is 3, still 3. So here it will be less than 3. I, see, j is equal to 0, j less than equals to I. So I go here, sorry, the value of I is 2, not 3. So it will be 2. Okay, see, the value of I is 2. It's not 3 anymore. So it's still 2. So now for a value of j is equal to 0, when I run the loop, what does it say? Print me a star. Okay, I print you a star and a space. For a value of j is equal to 1, what it says? 1 star was already there. I print another star. For a value of j is equal to 2, what does it say? Star, space, star, space, star. So I get three stars, right? Like I have here, I get 3 stars. Why? Because this loop runs 3 times. For a value of j is equal to 0, j is equal to 1, j is equal to 2. It runs 3 times. So I get 3 stars. Now what? Now the value of j becomes 3. What is the condition? Condition is j should be less than equals to 2. I exit out of this loop. So I come out of the loop for printing stars as well. I go to line number 19, which is to bring the cursor in the next line. Okay, so I go here. So what is my pattern now? 2 spaces, 1 star, then 1 space, 2 stars, then no space, and only stars. So this is my pattern, right? So my cursor goes in the next line because of line number 19. I go back and now the value of I is 3. What is the condition? The condition is I should be less than n. Means what? Means I is 3 should be less than 3 because n is also 3. So I exit out of inner loop as well. And as you can see, I am able to print this pattern. 2 spaces, 1 star, 1 space, 2 stars, and then no space, 3 stars. So depending on the number of rows, things will vary. If I give 5, the same will happen 5 times. So this is how it will work. Hope you understood how to create complete pyramid through this pattern. Do write me in the comments whatever questions or doubts you have, if any. Thank you.